It's Charles again. And I wanted to talk today about anxiety and breakups and talk to the specifics of anxiety that can be felt during a breakup. What I share is personal, it's happened to me, or parts of it have happened to me, and it's no substitute for professional help. Anxiety can be different levels from mild to severe, and it depends on several different factors as to how that's going to manifest itself. Several factors that can actually increase the likability of anxiety overall can be personality. From the research that I did, those that are more introverted are more likely to develop anxiety disorders. Those that substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, those can all lead to anxiety. Trauma in childhood or adult, stress is a huge factor. Pre-existing mental health issues, and oddly enough, they also talk about genetic issues where parents have had it and now children have it. Now, some of the physical manifestations of anxiety, some of these I've experienced myself, sleeplessness or difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, loss of focus, not being able to focus on other situations other than what's at the present or the relationship. There may be panic. This can strike at any time, panic. It can be a bunch of loaded questions, all starting with what if. These questions, my suggestion is to write them down. Write out the worst case scenario and best case scenario. And between those two, you're likely going to get a middle case. Another physical manifestation of anxiety is nervousness, feelings of being powerless, feelings of impending danger, increased heart rate, heavy breathing or quick breathing, sweating, trembling, weakness and fatigue, lack of concentration, and other focus, all caused by worry. When you start feeling agitated, agitation is the sympathetic nervous system going into overdrive. You can experience sweaty palms, racing pulse, shaky hands, or dry mouth. These symptoms occur because your brain is believing that it has sensed some type of physical danger, and it's preparing your body to react to that threat. What happens is your body shunts blood away from your digestive system and towards your muscles in case you need to run or fight. It also increases your heart rate and heightens your senses. While these effects would be helpful in the case of a true threat, they can be debilitating when there is actually no physical threat present. When we're talking about fatigue associated with anxiety, it can just be caused by excessive worrying due to the constant feel of threat and powerlessness. You'll want to sleep all the time, and your sleep may not be good in the quality of it. There's an increased demand on your body's resources that are quickly getting used up due to the overthinking of the situation for prolonged periods of time. That's resulting in all the chemicals and micronutrients that your body needs being depleted, and your body just needs sleep to recover. Some people can experience a loss of libido, restlessness and agitation, we've already talked about, muscle tension. Now, you can experience muscle tension because it's a perceived threat. Your brain, even though it's not a physical threat, your body and your brain are going into that mode of, hey, something could happen to us. Your muscles tighten up, and the parasympathetic nervous system is preparing for that flight or flight, fight or flight mode. Um, One of the other things that I experienced was stomach upset and nausea. Also, increased bowel movements, all due to the increased effect of anxiety. What you may need to have happen here is due to those types of things, you may need to contact a medical professional just to help you with acid blockers and different things like that for your digestive system. Um, Now, I wanted to talk about how to reduce anxiety overall, especially during this painful time of breakups and everything, and sort of how your mind is processing everything. A lot of the time, we're living in the past, reliving those painful experiences, trying to figure out what went wrong, why did they leave, why are they still not with us, how could they do this to us. One of the best things that I found once I was able to sort of weather the first couple of weeks was to just believe it's over. Getting rid of the hope of getting back together. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. And if you get your heart set on getting back together and it doesn't happen, you're going to be in the same place 3 months from now when they don't come back. Are you going to be ready if they do come back? What happens if they come back and they see that there's been no change in you and they've dramatically changed and you are no longer even near their level of development? They might come back for a short period of time and they might likely leave again. With reducing anxiety, you need to get healthy again, mentally, physically, spiritually. Some people go as far as, they have the thoughts of hurting themselves or others, so that an ex will respond to them. The problem is they may respond to you, but it's going to be out of pity. You might get the contact you need and desire, but at what cost? And how will your ex look at you for being so needy and weak? Likely that'll cause them to leave again. Think of it in the other way. If somebody was begging and pleading with you all the time, how do you look at that if you were stronger? Think of it this way. You're about to eat your favorite treat. You look at it, it looks perfect. Your mouth starts to salivate just thinking of how good it's going to taste. You bite into it, and it's stale. It's hard. It's been sitting out for weeks. It's got mold on the underside because it hasn't been taken care of. I hate to say it, but that's kind of us if we're not taking care of ourselves. In that state, do you want you back? Do you think your ex wants that? And does anybody else? Find a reason to move on. Find some type of motivation. Get better even if it's to prove your ex wrong. Get better because you have no one else holding you back. And guess what? Now you've got the time to do it. One of the other ways that I found very useful in dealing with anxiety, because your emotions are going to be all over the place over the next days, hours, weeks. Uh, Journal. Write it out and get some perspective on it, and go back and read it. Another technique, write a letter, address it to your ex, get your feelings out, get mad, get angry, get sad, get whatever. Your feelings are going to be all over the place anyway. They're going to change from moment to moment, from sad to depressed, anger, defiance, happiness, anxiousness, all of those types of things. Put all of that in that letter to your ex, but please don't send it. Don't send it to your ex because it's going to do a lot of damage, especially if you're in the no contact. Another technique was to write out your ex's bad points. Typically, when somebody breaks up with us, we focus on all the good things that they were, all the stuff we miss. They were perfect for us. They were these wonderful individuals. We put them up on that pedestal, and all we see are these qualities that we miss. What about their negative qualities? You can be sure that everybody's got them. And they were there and they were right and present. But the problem is we're not focusing on them. Write out their flaws. There were probably some red flags. There were probably a few things you thought you could live it with when you got together with them. Write them out. Write them all out. Write out all the things you didn't like about them. Maybe you hated how they ate, how they disrespected your wishes. Maybe they were always late, how they always hogged the remote, snored or snorted when they laughed. Get real and get them off that pedestal. Another way for dealing with anxiety, hire a professional. Spare your friends and family. After telling them about the initial breakup once or twice, get some help. You don't need to burn your friends out. or your family and having them tuning out and not really wanting to be there listening to you. Limit their use as being a therapist. You're not going to get the best advice anyway from them, and you'll burn them out. The advantage of hiring a professional, if you can afford it, is they're bound to keep it confidential. They're paid to listen and give you professional advice. Plus, hopefully you've selected one or have hired one that has the expertise to deal with those types of issues. Eating a healthy diet. Now, during anxiety, we have a lot of chemicals and micronutrients and nutrients that are being used up by our body on a very, very fast level. Um, Depending on your anxiety level and what's happening to your stomach, you may not want to eat, or it may be difficult to eat. Your body needs the nutrients to replace the resources after it's lost them by going into the fight or flight response that it's experiencing. You might want to look at supplements so your body has the additional resources. You might look at meal replacement shakes because you can't eat or don't want to eat. You may need to even talk to a medical professional so that they can prescribe some type of acid reducer so you're not feeling the nausea all the time that can come with anxiety. Another way to deal with anxiety is sleep. And it depends on how anxiety manifests in you, but sleep, you've got to get some. Not getting enough sleep can lead you further down that anxiety spiral. Sleep can be affected for months with relationship anxiety. You may need to get the assistance from a medical professional to make sure that you can start sleeping properly. This brings us to medication. I just spoke about acid blockers and different things like that. You may need something to help get your stomach under control or your sleep under control. The other thing is to limit caffeine. Caffeine intake may worsen feelings of anxiety in some people. I know for myself, I had to switch from regular coffee to decaffeinated just because the anxiety was actually triggered worse because of the stimulant that caffeine was to my system. Cut out the alcohol. Anxiety disorders and alcohol abuse are strongly linked. You don't want to get rid of one problem and start to have to deal with another. Exercising often. Regular exercise helps by increasing the endorphins in your body. I walked and I tried to notice the things around me and be present where I was. I focused on how the ground felt underneath my feet, how the sun reflected off a building or water, just even noticing things in the air. I tried to distract myself or calm the thoughts of living in the past and what was going on with that relationship by just being really in my surroundings. Exercising helps get you out of your head. One of the forms of exercise I recommend is dancing, Latin dancing especially. It's social, and you have to focus on the steps, so you're not going to be really focusing on what went wrong in the relationship, and it's a lot of fun. I found that all I wanted to do is hibernate and be alone with my thoughts when I was anxious. Your thoughts are always with you, and during this time, you need to distance yourself from them, especially during the anxiety. Our minds focus on moments in time when we're with our exes, and it replays them again and again, trying to find the solution of why they left. That solution may or may not come. We can begin to lose control and be on a runaway with our thoughts. It makes our perception of what is happening in the situation worse, where we start to react. What are those reactions? Typically anxiety. If you're in no contact, it can lead to some calling or texting our exes incessantly, stalking them, making fools out of ourselves because our brain is fueling our emotions and then our actions. I've heard that meditation is supposed to be great for those that are experiencing anxiety. One type of that is mindful-based stress reduction, which has been shown to reduce symptoms in people with anxiety disorders. I've been doing meditation for years. It can take a number of different forms. I've not done a lot of research on this subject, as I had a psychic who had taught me how to meditate and develop mantras to help me limit my anxiety. If you ask me if I'm good at meditation, no. The problem that I have is that I compare myself to where I am in my meditation to where I think I should be. There are many benefits or health benefits to meditation, including anxiety reduction and increased immune system. You've also heard, or you've probably heard, practicing yoga. My preference has been for Tai Chi. It's more of a movement and martial art based, which is always something that I've liked since I was a child. And when we look into some of the more philosophical points of view, what happens if the breakup is the universe testing you to bring you something greater and seeing if you actually have the character and intestinal fortitude to handle it? Are you going to be able to handle something greater? Are you going to be able to help yourself become better, faster, and stronger? Music, I know, plays a huge part in everybody's lives. You turn on the radio, there's always music playing. You look at any of the Hollywood films, there's music playing in the background, and they use that to change our emotions of what's going on in the film. If you're going to listen to music, listen to something that's uplifting. It's really beneficial not to go into a lot of the relationship, lovey type songs where you're going to have those sort of daydreams of your ex and everything else flowing through your head. Mantras can be really useful. They can seem like a lie at first. When I found I was using mantras to break the cycle of what was happening in my head, sometimes I wouldn't be able to even say them out loud. Some of the mantras that I used in the past have been, I am lovable, I am desirable, I deserve to be loved, and I move past my current limitations. Listen to some of the other coaches online, but be mindful of the advice you're given. It's free after all. You get what you pay for. Coaches that I've listened to that I've enjoyed for support have been Coach Corey Wayne, Coach Lee, Coach Natalie from Love Advice TV, and Apollonia Puente. A lot of what they had to say was develop yourself, take care of yourself. The other thing that I would go with is learn how to communicate better and be a better partner. Get some more skills so that if your ex comes back or you find a new individual, that you're able to communicate in such a way that is going to move your relationship forward. I wanted to get into a short list of don'ts. And it's got more to do with where your headspace is at within the breakup itself. Don't harm yourself in order to get attention from your ex or anybody else. It's just not worth it. Don't resort to alcohol or drugs, because this can make what's going on temporarily feel good, but overall it can make it worse. Don't go to places where you know you're going to run into your ex. You don't want to show up and have that weaker side of you showing out again, where they have that possibility of rejecting you all over again. You don't want to, you've experienced it once, you don't really want to experience that again. Don't forget that healing's a process. Your mind's perception of what's going on is influencing how it's affecting your body. Your body's in fight or flight, And due to the increased stress on the body, realize it takes time to heal. You may need the help of a professional to help your body or your mind heal. The other thing I suggest is don't contact your ex for validation. We all want validation somewhere. Do not look to your ex to supply that. They left for a reason. Let them leave. If you look at some of the other coaches online, they will tell you what that whole no contact thing is good for. The one thing is, realize that this too will pass. It may pass like a kidney stone, or feel like it's passing like a kidney stone right now, but eventually it will pass and things will get better. It takes time and you need to go through it, unfortunately. There's no easy way around it. Anyway, if you're going to leave a comment, please leave one that's constructive or helpful for anybody else that's reading them. Again, this is not something I get paid to do. I'm just out here trying to help in any way that I can. Thanks. Stay tuned.